G'day guys, Aussie Bloke here. Hope you're all doing well. On the last episode, we started talking about indirect pronouns, and I just wanted to add a couple of further points to that. The first one is the use of the word it and where you add that in, as well as the use of the pronouns themselves and where you add that in. So we'll just start with the use of the pronouns, and then we'll get into the word for it and where you put that in just a little bit. So with regards to the use of the pronoun words themselves, it's very similar to what we covered a couple of episodes ago, in that whatever pronoun word you want to use, you just add it at the start. But generally you don't really need to do this if you just use the whoever form of the verb that is doing the action or you're referring to. It's very obvious who you're talking about and who's doing what action, but you can add on the pronouns sometimes to really clarify or for a bit of emphasis. So what exactly do I mean by this? So if you take the example, they speak to me, that would just be me hablan. And when you say hablan, it's very obvious that you're talking about a group of people. But if you wanted to add on the pronoun of who's doing that action for a bit of emphasis, you could say ellos me hablan. Or if it was a group of women, you could say ellas me hablan. And likewise, if you wanted to say I speak to you, that would just be te hablo. Or if you wanted to add on the yo, you could say yo te hablo. And likewise, if you wanted to say you speak to us, you could normally just say nos hablas. Or if you wanted to add on the emphasis for the word you could also say tú nos hablas. Now let's say, for example, you wanted to say they believe me, adding the pronoun for they at the start for emphasis. How do you think you would say that? Ellos me creen. Ellos me creen. And if we wanted to say we don't believe you, how do you think you would say that? Nosotros no te creemos. Nosotros no te creemos. And if you wanted to say you don't believe me, how would you say that? Tú no me crees. Tú no me crees. And if you wanted to say I don't believe you, how would you say that? Yo no te creo. Yo no te creo. And if you wanted to say, for example, I don't believe you all, just speaking to a group of people, how would you say that? Yo no les creo. Yo no les creo. So there are a couple of pronouns that I need to mention that I didn't bring in when I first brought them in a couple of episodes ago. And they are the pronouns for you, speaking to someone one-on-one, but the formal version of that. And also the pronoun for you all, speaking to a group of people. So the first one, speaking to someone one-on-one, which would normally just be tú, the formal pronoun is usted. Usted. But again, that's very formal. I wouldn't really use that. You're normally just going to use the tú. But the pronoun for you all is similar to that, and it's ustedes. Ustedes. So with that in mind, how do you think you would say you all, speaking to a group, believe them? Ustedes les creen. Ustedes les creen. And if you wanted to say you all believe us, how would you say that? Ustedes nos creen. Ustedes nos creen. And if you wanted to say you all believe me, how would you say that? Ustedes me creen. Ustedes me creen. And if you want to say you all don't believe me, how would you say that? Ustedes no me creen. Ustedes no me creen. So now shifting our focus to the word for it in Spanish, which is lo if the word you're referring to is masculine, or la if the word is feminine. But for this purposes, when you're just explaining examples like this and you're not referring to anything in particular, it's fine just to use lo. So, and when you use the word lo, it just comes before the version of the verb that you're using. So what exactly do I mean by this? If I wanted to say I give it to you, the lo just goes before the doy at the end of that sentence. So I give it to you would be yo te lo doy, or just te lo doy if you didn't want to add the yo pronoun. And if you wanted to say, for example, they give it to me, that would just be me lo dan, Or if you wanted to add on the pronoun for they, it'd be ellos me lo dan. So we'll just run through a few more examples now and adding on the pronouns just for a bit of practice. So if you wanted to say you give it to us, how do you think you would say that? Tú nos lo das. Tú nos lo das. And if you wanted to say we give it to you, how would you say that? Nosotros te lo damos. Nosotros te lo damos. And if you wanted to say you give it to me, how would you say that? Tú me lo das. Tú me lo das. And if you wanted to say you don't give it to me, how would you say that? Tú no me lo das. Tú no me lo das. And what about you all give it to me? Ustedes me lo dan. Ustedes me lo dan. And if you wanted to say you all don't give it to me, ustedes no me lo dan. Ustedes no me lo dan. And if you wanted to say you all give it to us, how would you say that? Ustedes nos lo dan. Ustedes nos lo dan. And now a few examples with the verb decir, to tell. If you wanted to say they say it to me, how would you say that? Ellos me lo dicen. Ellos me lo dicen. And you say it to me, tú me lo dices. Tú me lo dices. And you don't say it to me, tú no me lo dices. Tú no me lo dices. And we say it to you, nosotros te lo decimos. Nosotros te lo decimos. And I say it to you, yo te lo digo. Yo te lo digo. And I don't say it to you, yo no te lo digo. Yo no te lo digo. Okay, that's all for this one, guys. Hope that was all straightforward enough, and we'll see you on the next one.